Thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of Did We Make Ourselves Clear, the podcast that clarifies the subject matters of love, life, and everything in between. I'm your host, River, and we were so delighted to have Summer Richardson on the show last week from the St. Louis Board of Election, kick off her very first episode of the series that she has called Election Clarity. This week, it's good to be back to have my co-host, KP.
What's happening? You know who it is, you know what it is. It's 2 for 2 now.
And the returning guest that's been with us is Kyle.
Yes. What's going on, bro? How y'all doing?
Thank you, guys. So then we make ourselves clear, want to welcome Shedrick Kelley to our broadcast. Better known as Nato Caliph, Shedrick is an accomplished hip-hop artist and businessman, husband and father of 5. He's also running for the 7th Ward Alderman for the city of St. Louis at the upcoming election on March the 2nd. Welcome to the broadcast, Shedrick.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So real quick, just so you know, it's 5 and 6. So
yeah.
The wife and the back here.
Welcome, Alicia.
Yes. So baby number 7 is right there. That's right. She's on the show. So born and raised in St. Louis. I'm here. I'm for the people, of the people. You know, ready to get rocking. I love the city. Been here my whole life. I care a lot about it. I care a lot about the youth. I care a lot about bringing the city together and get us into so you want to see. That's why I have so much sex. You know what I'm saying?
Man. So I know you from doing a lot of hip hop, man. What would inspire a hip hop icon like yourself? You know, you want to public office. Man, what's the transition after that?
Well, it was actually very easy. My music is all about like pulling people together and unity and just the message, the overall message of how we can overcome some struggles that we have facing a lot of black people in America. But so basically, it was like making the music a reality. You know what I'm saying? It was like, how do I make what I've been saying into actual the knowledge aspect of it, not information. Now it's like the wisdom aspect. But let me put it into motion. Let me really make it come to life. And so with that, it was like, don't just speak about it, be about it.
Okay.
And I was like, running for office is really wanting to, okay, I'm for the youth, I'm gonna show you.
Yeah,
I get it. For the city, I'm gonna show you.
That's right.
That's what it was. So running for office was the next progression, the logical step and saying, okay, I'm really about to be about the words I've been saying. I really want to make that.
Yeah. So let me ask you something. Why now? Why after all this time you decided to become an alderman? And what inspired you to make that impact on the city?
Well, as far as the now piece, it was like, I was going through some transitional phases in my life and my family. Because the babies were first, the children were first. So I was going through a social change with my home structure. So I had my children, and I was like, I need to make sure they're okay. You know what I'm saying? Before I do any kind of anything for myself, I need to make sure that the babies are okay. Because it's like everything I could be doing is for not, if they're not okay. So as far as the position or what I've been going towards, it was like all of it is closest to me, to the people, but in a position where I can do things that affect change. You know what I'm saying? That actually bring about the ability to actually touch our neighbors, touch our community, touch our neighborhoods, and actually bring about change. So to me, it was like, get the babies together, make sure the family's straight, meet, marry my beautiful wife, and then now let's run for office. It's always been there in the back of my mind, it's like do a lot of community as far as like helping out and volunteering and things like that, but it was like, let's get into, really saying, okay, if I had to pick a position to actually say, how do I best, affect the change that I want to see? To me, this is like starting out as
A way for you to get more involved.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Come off the wall, become involved.
As you meet and talk with residents of the Seventh Ward, what are some of the major concerns that you are hearing about, or just some of the concerns you hear about?
That's a good question. And see, I mean, it varies because, everybody has different backgrounds and things like that. The commonality is that we all live in the same city.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when I'm knocking on doors, I can knock on this door and this person cares about something completely different from the person standing right next door. You know what I'm saying? Which is amazing how different it is. But a lot of the common things are, of course, people are worried about COVID. Like how do we navigate COVID? How do we live? How do we progress during COVID? Even not just from a personal, sociological standpoint, but also from like a business standpoint. Like how do we thrive? How do we make money? How do we do a lot of things? So COVID is in the top, one of the top things. But aside from that, which is always, the St. Louis, it's crime.
Yes. I was leading to my next question, right? Because I was doing a little bit of research on the 7th Ward, and in the city of St. Louis, and it showed that St. Louis has the highest crime rate in the past 50 years, right? So, if elected alderman, what's some of the solutions and ideas that you would have that you would address and implement into the city of St. Louis to bring down the crime rate? And I'm gonna let you answer that one first.
No, and so first and foremost, we gotta look at like crime like we do an epidemic. You know what I'm saying? We have to look at crime almost like it's a disease, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things though where we know that it's not a one-shot cure. It's something you have to live with. You know what I'm saying? Like living with AIDS, living with HIV, you have to, you can take medicines and get, treatment for it, but it's not going away tomorrow. It's something that you have to treat and work on and educate. Education is a big piece of it. But as far as crime, to me, I think the best way to approach it is to engage the youth. I think that when we make them a part of the community, when we say that, hey, we care about you, you matter to us, we make sure that we build like little people that become adults, that now give back to the community that care about them. Like if you think about it, like when you pass through a neighborhood, you see people driven down the road, you see people throw trash out the window. 9 times out of 10, they
no respect for the community, the streets.
That's my point. Like if you're not from that area, 9 times out of 10 people don't usually care about that. Like with the youth, it's like empower. Make them feel connected, engage them, make them feel a part of the community. When they're a part of the community, they're less likely to damage you.
Right. I feel
If it's yours, you're less likely to tear it up, right? So the thing is, we have to engage them, but not only just engage them, we also have to make them feel like they have the ability to compete with the person. Let's bring these programs that allow them to learn how to do this, computer programming. They play these games all the time. All these Fortnite and coding. Like, why don't we create some after-school programs that allow them to focus on that?
Now, that's real, bro, because what I always will notice is that I would go to a lot of like civic engagement events and forums, community town hall meetings, and I would look around the room and realize that I would probably be the youth in the room. And I'm 46, so that ain't too young. You see what I'm saying? So if we the youngest in the room, then there's definitely a voice in this group of people that need to be represented. So I commend you for thinking about the youth. That's key, though.
And I appreciate it. Just one of the other things is that I say is like, it's our duty to leave it better than we found.
That's true.
It's true.
We cannot expect, like all of us, like you said, I'm 40, this past year, and so my thing is like, if we die tomorrow or the next day, like we cannot expect them to pick up the torch and make the city carry on tradition. How do we teach them? So in order to, the long end of it is like, in order to reduce the crime, in order to reduce, some of the issues and like that, you have to engage the youth, get them involved. If they're not involved, they don't care if it's going to continue to be like that. It's a systemic issue, and we need to cut off the path and start to engage them and work with them.
And speaking of that, bro, I know that you had volunteered with Coalition Against Police Crimes and Repression. And, you know, I know you're active on the Civilian Oversight Board as well. How do those issues of policing factor into your candidacy, though? You know, 'cause it's not just brothers killing brothers, it's sometimes law enforcement officers recklessly, you know, behaving, you know, and not having that type of, you know, authority, the wherewithal to have that authority.
Right, yeah, so when you talk about like CAPCAR, Police the Coalition, like their biggest mission, and which is why I love helping and working with them, is to, you know, look at and really examine the arrest and incarcerated model, right? Because it's not working.
No.
It's not working.
No.
I mean, let's just be honest.
I agree.
It's just not working. Right. We bring people in, rank and file, we, you know, lock them up, we arrest them, we charge them on the spot and fees, and it's like, what do we say? And then we talk about the murder rate and the crime rate still going up. So obviously it's not working. So
You see, don't change.
no, that's all right. So like, so we have to look at alternatives. It takes education. I think, like, when we look at the fact that, I mean, just to be mental, this is what
Yes.
not everybody is, you know, like a straight up hard criminal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Some people have like real life and real time issues. And then it's like, why are we treating them like, you know, that they're the problem, or that they have already done a study that said over 50% of the calls that come into the police department don't require police attention.
Right, exactly. Or
Wait, what? Over 50%, so over half of the calls you don't get do not require somebody with a badge and a gun. So that's how we stop some of the accidental situations where people get killed. Like, if I make a call if somebody's having a manic episode or something like that, the police should be first to go arrive on scene.
But the cameras in the community don't help either, do it?
No, not at all. And that's because of lack of understanding of our world versus theirs, right? You know, you have a certain privilege that allows you to be kind of cloaked and away from what's going on. So, you know, that's not your issue. So of course, you know, you're gonna treat it. Your response to it will be different. So, you know, ultimately, like, it's an education to do, and that's what it is. Working with CAPCAR, working with the Civilian Oversight. The only thing with the Civilian Oversight Board is that, and I've sat in, is like, first of all, their whole intent is to monitor and handle police misconduct, which on the surface is a great thing. Like, it's really good. Like, wait a minute, they get the whole police accountable for misconduct. The issue though is that, so first of all, when they get these cases or these, you know, pieces of information as far as issues are concerned, the crimes are removed. I mean, the murders are removed. Right. So there's nothing like on that level. So we talk about stuff like, so it's like they have an issue with a police officer, like, smack somebody in the back of the head, like, hold on, he hit me, and they're like, no, I didn't. So now you got this difference of who
serial taking or something.
So something like that. So that's what most of it's about. But then a lot of the times, unfortunately, like, the person's not there to represent themselves and vice versa. So it's kind of like they get thrown out.
Yes,
and then they have to rely on the internal affairs department to, you know, keep this. I'm sorry. They have to rely on the internal affairs department for that information. And so that information is like, you know, it's like, well, the internal affairs department is part of the police department. So it's like,
you're gonna police yourself, right?
You know what I'm saying? So the intent and what they're intended to do and what they stand for is great. I think it's a beautiful idea, and I'm glad that the city of St. Louis has that. But I think that they need to be kind of separate. Right. They need to be their own entity that gets to really go in, you know, and scout and review, like, okay, where is the injustice and what can we do about it? What's the recourse? You know,
that's really so our face just having good intentions.
Real quick, I just want to remind those who are just joining us that we have Shedrick Kelley, candidate for the St. Louis City 7 Ward Alderperson here, and we've answered a few questions. So for those who are just tuning in, we're talking to Shedrick Kelley.
And since we're talking exactly to the community of St. Louis, since you have this platform, what would you like to say to the citizens of St. Louis, if anything at all? You know what I'm saying? What would be your mission statement and they have you in front of them? what do they see when they get you as a candidate?
You get, first and foremost, you get a family man. You get a father. You get somebody that's connected to the community, that cares about the community. You get somebody that's really invested in St. Louis, has been their entire life, and wants to see this community and the city compete not just on a regional level, on a national level. I want people to care about St. Louis and want to gravitate here like they do in Chicago, like they do in LA or
Stop moving from it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Instead of moving away, moving to the
Right.
side. You know what I'm saying? If you look at like the whole country, and you know, I know you know probably at least 5 to 10 people that have gone and blown up and done bigger things, and you're like, man, how these things? Why do they do this for the city? And it's just like, I want to be able to create an atmosphere where we have that for us.
Right.
Like, where we can,
Right.
like platforms like this. Like other cities have things and it's like people support this. Let's make St. Louis more of a place that people desire to be. They want to grow grow a business there. They want to, create resources for other people. They want their family to grow up there and stuff like that. Like we need that. And so we should do it.
This man that you used to do the rap and hip hop scene, what did you know is it was different, out of state than it is in St. Louis?
Camaraderie. Like plain and simple, like people
say who?
camaraderie.
Right.
Like even if they didn't necessarily agree with each other, they still support each other.
That's true.
Like it was like, I'm not feeling that, but hey,
It's still from the city.
Yeah, we rep in Houston, so we doing it. That's kind of, I've seen it. So it was like, I used to do shows all the time, and it was like, they don't even do the same thing, but they rep each other, they hold each other down, the fans support. Like, with here, it was like, St. Louis was like,
It's a blood school, right? Each man, right?
yeah, it's like, I don't rock with such.
So this is better than him, so I can rock.
So it's like,
Right.
cheap stuff, that's how it is.
I want to get back to the children though. You have 7 children, 5 who attend a public school. What's your perspective on the educational system here in the city?
It needs help. It needs a lot of help. I don't think that is impossible though.
Right.
I don't think that is a mountain that's too high to climb. I think that right now, to be perfectly frank, there's a lot of money that's being wasted. We have money that's being spent on things that are completely unnecessary, and I think that if we redirect those funds and put it into the children, if we invest in our babies, you know what I'm saying?
So in what ways, I keep hearing you saying education is key, some type of after-school curriculum. So what type of after-school curriculums or programs do you have in mind that you think would be, revolutionary to the inner cities? And just, lowering the crime rate and getting people more involved. So what type of programs do you have in mind?
Well, I was doing
That the public education system isn't already implemented.
I think, and to your point, like, there are a lot of things that have already been touched on, already been approached, so to speak, like, something has been approached, but there hasn't been a lot of effort behind it. So it's like, oh yeah, we have our school program, but like, really? But who are it offered to? Where is it offered? How many children are able to get involved or be there or, participate in that particular, event, and so, or activity? And so the thing is, like, I want to make sure that it's equitable. It's got to be across the board. It's got to be able to be like something that we don't just have. Universal. It's something that we don't just have for like, a little while and then it goes away. And they're like, what happened to the funding? Oh, they want to sit down and more, we start. It's like that. So you rather have that than baby, more than that, something like that. And so for me, it was like, I also want to look at this, on the surface, it may seem kind of wild, but it was, I was reading articles about like how in some areas, in some cities, they have, basically when your child is 16, now we're starting to introduce them to like learning a trade. Start to teach them like, okay, something, a real tool to live life, not just try to push it, because let's be honest, college isn't for everybody. It's not. Some children, that may not be their thing. I'm not saying don't offer them an opportunity. No, not at all. But we do need a viable alternative for children that maybe, more interested in learning something that they can actually use right now.
The trades are actually doing more than
Yes.
people with these traditional houses.
Yes.
There's a lot of times
Yes.
they go for loans, you know,
Yeah,
to the
it's
field,
cheaper,
and top runners in the field as well. So we should offer a lot of
And you
these
get
kids
a-
an opportunity, you know, in these high restricted areas where the college tradition is supported mainly because of economics. And then the like tradition is, if you're the first person in your family going to college, then, you know, often you gotta be trailblazers. So if no one's showing you, mentoring you on that path, then we need to get and attack the kids that dealt with us in the straight path and hit them up in school, introduce them to these core coding classes,
Yes.
STEM, you know,
Yes,
carpentry,
yeah, that's what I was-
all these things.
all these.
Yeah, holistic.
Absolutely. So, and you say, you know, a lot of the funds and resources, money is, it needs to be redirected, right? Into something more beneficial. So what would be your idea and stance on tax incentives for the city and for the city businesses, and really just getting those off the ground, especially minority businesses?
No, that's a good question. First and foremost, we need competitive wages for people that work. Or just in general, like, I think minimum wage should be $15 an hour here. And it also should be on a sliding scale the way it increases, depending on, you know, the economy of the country. Because it's like, it shouldn't just, like, okay, we're at 15 and it sits there. You know, I first started working minimum wage, like, it just moved from $4.25 an hour to like, to 15, to 5
Just over broke.
$5.15 an hour.
Right.
You know, that's half a gallon of gas now. Like, I mean, the half gallon of gas is like $2.25. So you could imagine so first of all,
you can work a whole hour for a gallon of gas.
competitive wages is first and foremost, and if you pay people are earning more than it's like you can climb. I mean, think about it, if you can make the money you need to feed yourself, pay your bills, keep your lights on, things like that, and have, you know, affordable housing, you less likely to commit crime, less likely. I didn't say definitely don't wipe it out, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it's
a lot more of your financial goals are being met.
exactly.
Then the probability of you going out and robbing somebody or stealing something or committing a burglary is.
So the other piece is also holding these businesses accountable. They come in, they get tax incentives, and then they ship their goods outside of St. Louis. And then they're not required to hire people or employ people from St. Louis. So like, people are not all around.
So I mean, but that's on the grassroots all the way up to the top. Affluent schools.
Yes, that's what I was talking about. Yes.
Dry, but yet they want to fix up their stores for people that shop there who need a decent building while they give up their money.
That's true. I think that these companies should be made to hire people from the city. If you can bring your business here, you can profit, you need to hire. Then you need to pay competitive wages. Exactly. And that's how you start building up the equity in the city. Because now you got people that are investing in the city because the city is making people invest in them. Right. You're paying them more, you're giving them job security. So now it's like, oh, and most people tend to want to live not too far from where they work.
So as an alderman, right? If elected alderman, what and how, you know, we will attack some of these tax regulations, these tax incentives for these foreign businesses who are basically what I like to term economic terrorism. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I say that is because, you know, we extract so many resources and jobs and money out of the community. Yes, it does increase the crime rate. You know, it's been proven. They had so many.
So it's inflation at the same time.
Yes, and it's already been proven and established that, you know, when you have anywhere you have a lack of resources, jobs, income, and financial stability, crime rate is automatically going to shoot through. Like we seen with COVID and the loss of so many jobs in the city of St. Louis, and now we got the worst it's been in 50 years.
Man, you put good people through bad situations and do bad things.
Man,
COVID.
I'm gonna say do what's necessary. given the circumstances.
Exactly.
So again, I ask, how will you attack those tax incentives for foreign businesses and things like that?
Well, just on the surface too, you gotta look at it like it's not, because when we look at quote unquote foreign businesses, you gotta think about what people are allowed to do. So a lot of these things, like we talk about tax evasion or tips and things like that, and we offer tax incentives, is like, a lot of times it sounds good to the engaging parties at first, but we don't look at the down the line effect of it. Like, so part of the reason some public schools are in the situation they're in is because of tax evasion and stuff like that. Different incentives that were passed that now have allowed them to get away with not paying taxes, and then we got schools that are dilapidated, they falling apart.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, so stop. Why are we giving breaks to people that are making millions? And taking the money away from people that need it to have the school. Now we lose teachers. Teachers can't be paid, so teachers leave.
Yeah.
And they go where they go to the county.
Teachers jump ball, and they teachers the dirt and the peanuts, man.
So we have to look at
Shameless.
tips in their inception were supposed to be a good thing. But they're being abused. But it's like a lot of stuff they're being abused, but it's on another level, on a higher stakes level. And it's affecting more people, like by the thousands. So we have to examine that, and that is all the person I would go in, and I'm talking like on some day one stuff, not trying to sound like a president, but like on some day one stuff, like, who are you embracing? And why? Who is not contributing to the city, and why? Show me that list. And now it's time to really say, do they deserve it? Or should they still be getting it? Why are they getting it? Who approved that?
Right.
When we start really
Accountability,
that's about the accountability. And that's what I love, that word is, that's all.
And that's such a powerful word. It's such a powerful word. And so when you say get people more involved in the community, right? And this is the reason why I specifically term foreign businesses. So I'm gonna bring up a prime example, like when a Mike Brown incident happened, right? You had so many people riding, you had so many people coming from, different cities and areas, and they were burning down a lot of the businesses, and it was just pretty chaos, right? And you had a lot of people saying, hey, you're destroying your own community, like, what are you guys doing, right? And then you had the opposite side of that coin, the other end of the spectrum of that argument, was saying, well, they don't own any other businesses anyway, right? So how can you get people more involved in the community that they don't have
ownership, man?
You see what I'm saying? And that's really key. That's really key. Getting them involved in ownership, things of that nature. But, we understand it's a long road, right? But that's where the conflict comes in at. Trying to get people more involved in the community. They just simply going to not benefiting from.
Well, let me
See what I'm saying? This is where we're going to get taxation without representation.
No, you're right. And so one of my platform items is that one of the things I'm trying to push and I want to be involved in is called participatory budget.
It's called what now?
Participatory budget.
Participatory budget.
So what that is, and it's not a new concept. Other cities are doing it, and actually there's some wards around St. Louis that's already doing it. My ward, for some reason, has not been involved in it. But what it does is basically every ward gets what's called ward capital. Right. St. Louis City gives them so many thousands of dollars to operate and do certain things. I want to create a committee within the ward. So the people that live in the ward, in the community, and say, hey, you 10, you 15 or so individuals that live in the ward, that care about the ward, that want to make sure the ward progresses and do things, I want you to come up with a list of things we should fix. What do we spend money? I don't want to just make a decision, because traditionally it was the only person doing it. So now you say invest in the community, all right, you 10 or 15 individuals, you come up with a list of things we need to fix. I don't care if it's street lights, I don't care if it's talking about cutting trees down or adding speed bumps, stop signs, whatever it is, or slow down children at play signs and something like that. You tell me what we want to do. Yeah. And then I'll put the check. I'll get the money and we go do what we need to do with it. Yeah. So for me, I don't know why, like I said, I don't know why it's not already something that's being done in the 7th Ward, because it does exist in St. Louis as it stands. But let's get that committee together. We don't
know, bro, what is the 7th Ward? For our viewers that may not know.
Right.
Exactly.
So
From what part, yeah.
it's downtown.
Okay.
So not all of downtown. It's downtown west, like where the Wells Fargo sits and where the new stadium is, it's just outside of that. But City Hall sits in the 7th Ward. The Justice Center, where we just had the incident, that's in the 7th Ward. The Arch is in the 7th Ward. Soulard, the famous historical,
Is 10 City in the 7th Ward?
It's 10 City.
10 City.
No, it's just outside. And then we have Lafayette Square, we have LaSalle Park, which is like, the Nestle Arena, Bush Stadium, 7th Ward. My neighborhood, McKinley Heights, where we live, is in the 7th Ward. There's Fox Park. So it's a lot of beautiful communities in the 7th Ward. Of course, Soulard is in half. Soulard sits in another ward, but Soulard is in the ward too. The majority of Soulard is in the ward. And so it's a beautiful area. A lot of
historical.
very diverse. People who founded St. Louis and named it, obviously. So you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Exactly. They lived in like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm on these groups and Facebook groups and these neighborhood associations, and they post the historical, like this building was where this used to be.
I love this mind blowing. Yeah, they're like, I heard there, down Cherokee, like Jefferson Cherokee. I didn't do that, but that was the original one. That made all the motion pictures. It was personal.
Oh wow, that's some legit shit.
And it's just like, and so for that to be in the 7th Ward, like I said, I want 7th Ward people to be able to say, hey, this is what we want. This is where we think the money would be best used. And it's regardless of race, regardless of age, regardless of gender, it's all about like, you care enough, let's come up with a list. And then now you came up with a list, let's go on.
Okay, so why do you think something so which is, I would say, efficient and will be economically sound, but why do you think something like that hasn't happened yet? And which will lead me to my next question: how do you address a lot of the corruption that goes on in a lot of these counties, wards, and districts?
Well,
that is a challenge that you would have to face as an alderman.
And actually, to answer that question is basically one they'll answer both, and it's about power. So a lot of people don't understand like the level of power, like as far as what it does to the individual. So to hold those keys, to hold that information, you know what I'm saying? Power. Exactly. It's like to hold that information, to hold that knowledge of being able to say, oh man, if we vote on this, then I may lose some of my power. If we have to put this to a vote, I have less say so.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
you got a lot of interest.
Exactly. So it's like it's a power thing. So that's why it's not as known. That's why it's not put out there like that. But also it's like that's why it will not be shared as far as even when people do know, it's like, okay, I don't think that. It's like it's too much power that I'm giving up. It's like I'm literally giving up a lot of my ability to control stuff. And so
that's why it needs to be a paradigm shift for the power is the people. Not just the
Right.
there you go.
Right. Exactly. That's what I was leading up to. Exactly how you put that power back into the hands of the people, where it originally belongs anyway.
Right.
How do you, like, what do you have any type of strategy you will implement to create that paradigm shift? Where you could really be effective and make a difference as an alderman in the center.
I do have, like I said, first we do engage with you. That's first and foremost. The other piece is like I said, participatory budgeting, where I offer the solution of allowing the people of the community to decide where the money goes for the community. That's a piece of power right there. Because if I can tell you from the perspective of, I have a chance to say where I want the money to go, you can tell me that's not some power. Like, just think about it. You, yourself, sitting right there and say, my children and I decided that we wanted this to be. You know what I'm saying? We decided we wanted this structure to be dismantled and become an eyesore. And we got it done. Like, that's empowering in itself. Like that. And this is the community that you live in. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be able to go down the street and say, we did that. You know what I'm saying? Like, who would want to be able to say that? That's real, man. Like, where do you live at to where you wouldn't want to care about like what's happening and not be able to say, you know, I made a decision today. With some friends of mine, my neighbor, and I made a decision to make this park safer for the children.
That's key though, because I know that's how the neighborhood watch and Federation of Communities was established by investing out into the citizens in the community to where they would have shared interests. And once they can see that impact and see the results of their decision making capability.
Yes, that's what they need to see.
Mindset.
They need to see the results of their decision.
There you go. And so that brings me to my final question for you, brother. Enjoy having you. March the 2nd is the day, right? We're going to vote. Why are we voting?
And what makes you a credible alderman, right? To the point where when and if you do get elected, how do the people know that they can trust?
That's a good
And that the power won't corrupt.
My best barometer, you know, measure, the rubric for me is the children. They hold you accountable. Children are honest and wait, really, like looking at them, it's like, so my thing is, you voted for me March 2nd because I'm a people. I'm people. I really am. Like if there isn't a thing that I care about most, it's like besides my family, the same way. I'm just like, I tell people all the time, I'm on the phone calling people every day. I'm calling people, I'm trying to call them out. Not only just donations, but calling them, I exist. Like, hey, you know who your own person is? Nah, let me introduce myself to you. When I say calling and talking to people, it's like, I'm not a politician.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a person that's getting into politics. Like, bro. So, for me, it's because, for one, I'm a coach. That's all. Don't get it twisted now. Don't get crazy. Don't get beside yourself. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm a person, but I demand respect. But the other piece is that it's like I'm a coach. Like I so many people I'm not gonna reach doors, and by the way, we've already reached, you know, over 1,000 people knocking on doors. And it's like saying we're actually up to 2,000 and we're knocking on doors. We're coming back around. And by the way, it's like I'm knocking on doors, and people are like, man, you showed up out here in this. Like they literally like, you came to my door. They literally like I'm looking around like, man, you got my door.
Yeah.
You out here just coming up, right?
I guess it's only right that one of the people should be of the people.
And not to mention, I'm not doing it alone. I got my daughter out there, she's 15, goes to Metro. My wife who's 8 months, 36 weeks today. You know what I'm saying? 36 weeks today. And she's out there knocking on the door and calling people. And we're talking to people, and it's like, look, we're not doing this because and look, the thing is like, let's be real. I have a day job. I'm not doing it for the money. I really want to help. I want this thing to be competitive. I want this thing to be a contender. I want this thing to be respected. And I want people to know that we don't have time for all this back and forth. Like when we're trying to push things through that actually help you, you got people that want to fight against you. Like for what? Why are you stopping progress? Who are you? Who put you in charge? I don't think people know who they voted for. And some people are self-serving. Some people are using this as a stepping stone to get the stepping, exactly. And they want to get to the next level. No, I'm with people, I'm in the middle. Call me. Text me. I tell people all the time, call me. Like for real, like pick up your phone and call me, email me, and I'm gonna talk to you. Or I come to your house. You like, can you bring me a sign? Yeah, I'll bring you a sign. Let's put the yard sign here on myself. Let's do it. Now, they want to talk about other people. They're like, well, I've been reaching out to such and such, and they haven't gotten back to me. Like, I don't know what to say. So for me, on March 2nd, you vote for me, yeah, that's the primary. It's just us two, right? But it still matters because we need to show people that I'm not running for no reason. Yeah. So the thing is, you vote for me March 2nd, you vote for me again April 6th. Absentee ballot voting is available now. You can vote now.
It's awesome.
Hey. But the thing is, bro, most importantly, and the last thing is like, when you vote for me, it's almost like you vote for yourself. You know what I'm saying? You put somebody in place that cares just as much about the city and the people as you would yourself. And so that's where I want to be. That's why March 2nd, I'm asking for your vote. then again on April 6th. You know, basically put yourself in office. By putting me there, you put yourself in office. I'm representing you. And that's what I am. Thank you.
That's wonderful.
Well said, man.
Thank you so
Well
much.
said, man.
I want to say real quick, I want to shout out everybody that made comments, Yummy B, Juan, Yuki East, Nectar, and Val. Thank you guys for commenting. We want to thank you, Shedrick, so much for joining us here today. And our viewers, be sure to tune in for February 25th at 6:30. That is our beginning of our second season. And we're going to have an American wake-up call. Join us with Stevie West, author, musician, and entrepreneur. Thank you guys so much.
And I know the Lord has brought us this far just to drop us off here that we make
Sales clear.